Artificial intelligence is rewriting the global economic playbook. But while the West builds massive data centers and Silicon Valley debate trillion-dollar computations, a quiet revolution is taking place right here in the African continent. Hello and welcome to TechnyFire. I am Dakbo Aruwa Joy. Today, we're mapping out the rise of African AI, opportunities, challenges, and the road ahead.
Nigeria's tech ecosystem has crossed major valuation benchmarks driven by booming fintech and digital infrastructure. Nigeria has scaled its 3 million technical talent initiative to position the country as a major exporter of tech skills. Strict safety, transparency, and bias audit compliance rules are now legally enforceable for global tech firms. Next-gen AI has moved beyond pattern matching to System-2 agentic reasoning for complex problem solving. Medical regulators have approved the first fully autonomous AI systems to independently diagnose medical conditions. Tech giants have deployed small modular reactors to meet massive AI computer energy demands. Multi-billion-dollar investments have surged into local subsea cables, data centers, and regional AI computer hubs.
To help us navigate the metrics, we have a guest who lives exactly at the intersection of business strategy and high-impact machine learning. He has over 6 years of experience building financial analytics models, has trained nearly 3,000 data professionals worldwide, and is taking African-grown AI research all the way to the University of Cambridge this year. Please welcome data scientist, lead analyst, and AI researcher, David Balogun.
Yeah.
David, good to have you.
Pleasure's mine.
Let's get to meet you. Who exactly is David? Now, I did a little bit of introduction of you, but let's hear from the horse's mouth. Who is David Balogun?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. Yeah, I would say David Balogun. I've been in the data space for a couple of years and have had the opportunity of working across the fintech space, the tech space, renewable energy space, and a couple of other sectors within the tech industry. And outside of my work, typically, I'm also an AI researcher, and I have a couple of, amazing papers I've written, and, some are due for publication yet, and some are still yet to be published. And outside of my work also, I'm also into mentoring and coaching, and I've had the opportunity of, mentoring and coaching over a couple of 2,000-3,000 people across Africa and across, the globe at large, basically. I'm also someone who is driven by impact also, right? So most of what I do by getting to, mentor and teach and tutor people within the data space, it's just born from the place of making impact here, basically.
You build predictive cash flow models for fintechs and also AI that can detect crop or diseases. So tell us about it.
So one of the first fintech company I had to work with, one of the major, because of the kind of business we do that, because it was peculiar to disbursing of cash. So we had to build like a model which can help us predict the accuracy of the disbursement and help us, predict the accuracy of the paid back time of our customer, right? So we don't get to over disburse and we don't get to, lose money, or we don't get to lose our return on the money. So after putting the model into perspective, we're able to, make accuracy and be able to make exact disbursement and know what our return on interest is going to be. And it was very amazing, and that was just it basically. And also for the crop disease stuff, I think a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, I was speaking to a friend and he had a major project he was working on at that time. So he was trying to build something around crop detection. That is just a bit about deep learning, right? So you're able to use images to detect diseases across crop. And outside of the conversation, we had like a project to work on. It took us like 2-3 months. And after then, recently I had a conference. I was privileged to write a paper about, being able to track diseases with crop images and all that using deep learning, right? And one of the major things we did basically was to, put that into a research perspective and put it into a practical approach. So what do I mean by that? So farmer in a small scale farm can make use of these applications to, detect crop diseases and also mitigate risks against it. Knowing fully well that the world basically lives on food, right? So I don't have to go to farm, you don't have to go to farm, but we literally eat and we get our food produce from the farm, right? So knowing fully well of that, and about 40% of farm produce are being disrupted because of this pest and all that in the farm.
How did you move from money to agriculture?
Yeah, so I would say the whole context is about problem solving, right? So what problem are you able to solve? When you're able to solve problem, you would have money would come, which ultimately is tied to value, right? So everything at the end of the day is just bottling down to problem solving. And food is a major, in as much we are all in the whole AI of a teen ecosystem, food is still a major problem or major solution, right? So having like a right solution towards it, having like a putting a proper infrastructure towards it, I think we would have reduced number of disruption to our plant produce and all that basically. So it's just a decision of trying to solve a problem, right?
You convince a farmer in the village that using application can help him to prevent crop diseases.
So when you speak to an average farmer, most times they'll tell you, and from the research we did, right, I did for the paper I wrote, the conference I spoke about in the University of Ibadan, right, one of the major issues we saw was that 40% of farm produce are being destroyed, right? That is on a yearly basis across West Africa and East Africa and Africa at large, right? So 40% or 50%, and for it to be destroyed, that means they've kind of put in a lot of work to, trying to plant and trying to water it and, taking it to a particular point in time and everything just goes up, right? So one of the major things we are selling to them is problem. We are trying to solve XYZ problem for you, right? So if I'm coming to you, you have this problem, I'm trying to solve it and also making it economical for them, right? It's something they will buy into basically because at the end of the day, in as much you still have instances of pest destruction, but at least it should be at a very reduced and controllable rate, right? So if you are planting, let's say 100 crops and let's say 40% or 50% are being destroyed because of farm pests, it's not a good business deal and no one is going to be willing to invest in the agricultural space, right? So when those problems are being solved, right, you would then open way for investors to keep coming into the agricultural space.
Tell me about your trip to the University of Ibadan. What did you take from there?
First conference, international conference of competing in the University of Ibadan, right? So the paper we delivered was trying to solve crop diseases, right? So using deep learning to solve crop diseases. So one of the major takeouts there was the problem is being recognized. There is a problem of crop diseases. So trying to put it out there into implementation. So that is where we are moving towards now, right? So trying to implement it out there and making sure everyone is fully aware about the solution, right, and trying to implement it to their businesses. So that was the major thing. It was a very fantastic conference we spoke about, and it was very nice because we saw a couple of other problems. People are trying to pitch some other problem to their research paper and all that. And yeah, it's just showing fully well that the African ecosystem is also coming to the center of the world, right? We are not left behind in the whole conversation of data and technology.
So which of these two worlds actually represents the future of tech in Africa? Fintech or agri-tech?
That's a very dicey question, I would say. Fintech already have like a track record of doing so well, right? The agri space is still very evolving, I would say, right? So in as much you would give credit and accolade to the fintech space, and one other thing we should not forget to mention is there are a lot of investment going into the fintech space, right? So in as much there has been a little sloppy investment, willingness from investors to invest in the fintech. They've had a lot of investment over time, right? And compared to the agri space, one thing I would say again is in the agri space, there should be a need for, investors to coming into the space. But because of some of the issues, they're not willing to come. So I would say fintech is growing and, it's doing well. But if opportunity is being given to the agri space, we would also have unicorns, in the coming years, I would say.
Your edge AI research is going to Cambridge this year. I know you're excited. So tell me about it.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we worked on data collection pipeline, right? So for computing, cloud computing, and also Internet of a Thing, right? So shout out to my co-author. I have 3 co-author. One of the co-author happens to be a professor of AI system in Onobisi Obanjo University, and 2-3 other couple guys working on the project with me. Right. So what we are trying to solve is data collection process, right? So there is this conversation of data is not properly well collected in Africa, right? So because of some abnormality, so we are trying to correct that. So also trying to collect the data and showing like there's a proper cloud infrastructure, right, in putting in the data into implementation. So that's what the paper is all about, and it's going to be a great conference.
When you present this paper, so what's the biggest misconception about Africa that you want to shatter?
Yeah, so I think one of the major issues is going to be around data collection system, or not having like a proper centric means of collecting data. So there is this mind that whole Africa don't keep data, in as much that is 100% true, right? So I think there have been some new regulations across some countries in Africa, right? So when you look at the like of Kenya and what the Minister of Digital Technology is doing in Nigeria, yeah, right? So you've seen there have been a kind of improve in the means of collecting data, but in as much as not 100% accurate, I would say, or 100% reliable, they've been intentional effort towards it. So that is one of the minds we're trying to correct, that AI infrastructure can come into Africa and they can really do well if we have the right data. And that's the mind we're trying to correct or shatter, basically.
The constrained, a resource constrained environment like power and internet, how possible can that be?
Yeah, that's a major issue, I would also say. So one of the implications of that is it can kind of slow down the pace of AI across Africa, right? So I think I saw a post recently. Someone was complaining that she works for one customer care success role, but I guess one of these companies in the US or Eastern Western world, and they had to lay her off because of internet, right? So something as simple as internet can be so frustrating, right? And I'm sure every one of us have our own fair share of that, basically. So one of the major issues we'll be having is internet connection and also light, right? So we know how light can be in Nigeria, and I think there's a recent development of solar, and to a very large extent, some people cannot afford it, right, because of the old heavy investment. And there are a couple of guys doing a bit of, buy now, pay later. But in as much those are staying in places, if we don't tackle the basic issue of internet, right, and also making it affordable to people, right. So in as much you would say there is internet and it's good, sometimes it's not affordable to people, right. So the average person who is trying to do the remote job thereabout will probably spend a chunk of the money trying to buy internet, and after buying it, you still have to struggle with having like a good connectivity, right? So what that would do basically is just to slow the pace of AI across Africa and Nigeria as a whole. So if we can tackle those two bottlenecks, right, so we can start leveraging on that and start building basically.
You've trained 3,000 data professionals. What's the biggest mistake an African that wants to learn data, what's the biggest mistake they make when entering into that field?
One of the major mistakes I've seen people make in general is they want to start learning the big thing. And I also did that mistake. I can remember vividly a couple of years ago, I was talking to a mentor of mine. He's a partner now at PwC. So I told him I was moving to the data analytical space, and he asked me, can you use Excel? In my head, I'm like, I'm learning Python, I'm learning Pandas, NumPy, machine learning. What do I need Excel for? But luckily enough, I stumbled on a video by someone and I reached out to her for advice, and she told me to go back to the basics, right? I should learn the basic stuff. So the mistake most people make most times is they want to start learning the big stuff and leave the basic, right? And most times you need to learn the basic before you go into the hard stuff. So for instance, you want to build a house, you can't start putting the roof in, right? You have to start from the foundation, right? You have to put the blocks and make sure they are well cemented, right? So make sure you are doing the underground work, make sure you are learning the basic stuff, and you can start building from there.
So when coaching students across the world, across all the continents, because I know you've trained across the continents, what's the biggest advantage an African has over these people?
So I would say from a place of pain and frustration, right? So I've had instances whereby some of my students will tell me they're having issues with light, no internet connectivity. Sometimes you just have to understand them, and you're in this position at some time, right? Maybe just send them money to get data and all that, right? So most of them take it from a position of pain, right? I don't like this my present situation. All due respect to the folks in the Western world, right? They have all this infrastructure, light, internet, right? So they just have this kind of chilled mindset of, let me just learn. But someone from Nigeria or African is coming from a place of pain, right? So you are using your pain, right? You are changing your pain to a good story, right? So that is one of the advantages they have over them.
Are we really being trained for local impact or just to pass remote jobs?
The two work hand in hand. So they've been a recent debate. I think you are probably aware about it. Tosin, team up, Money Point CEO, he was saying something about talent and all that, right? So, in as much you're saying pass remote job, it should have impact also, right? No one would want to hire someone who do not have value, right? So, both work hand in hand, basically. So, make sure you have impact and make sure you're also chasing the money, right? Chasing the good job, right? But one major thing I would say most times is most people are gradually moving towards the remote job because it makes your life comfortable. You stay at home, but at the end of it, we are leaving the important part, right? The important part of trying to build locally made stuff for ourselves across Africa.
Silicon Valley assumes everyone around there has problems with internet and problem with power. So to break through with AI in this part of the world, in this continent, Africa, what's the first thing to do?
So yeah, the first thing we have to do, I think we've spoken a bit about it, is to solve the basic problem, right? So I'm taking it back to the question you asked me about the mistake most people make when they're trying to start their journey as the data scientist. One of the major mistakes I said was they don't want to learn the basic stuff. So we have to fix the basic issue. Basic issue like light issue, we have to fix it. Internet of a thing, right? We have bad internet, we have to fix it. Make it also affordable for people, right? I was speaking to a friend of mine. Right? The person was telling me when they buy internet in their place in the Western world, right? They use it for a month. It doesn't unlimited. But when you buy unlimited here in Nigeria, with all due respect, it's not even unlimited. You get what I'm saying, right? One other major thing we have to fix is our data center. Those three issues are being fixed. You would see like a rapid growth in our AI ecosystem.
So data sovereignty. We must have our own data. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Do you believe in sovereign data?
And I think last year I spoke at PyCon, a Python conference. One of the topics I spoke about was data sovereignty. Who really own the data of Africa, right? So one of the major things, or one of the major highlights, I'm just going to reiterate on that, is let's try and localize our data. Let's try and build for Africa in Africa, right? We are not building for Africa in the Western world. We are building for Africa in Africa, right? So I want to build a AI product that someone in Ogbomoso can actually use, right? And that's one of the major issues we have. So I'm going to give a quick illustration now, right? So when you use some of this AI tool, when I say money now in Yoruba, money means owo, right? Mm-hmm. That's a three-letter word. And there's a place in Ondo State that is owo, right? So we have instances of...
That's where I'm from.
Oh, right, yeah, I'm from somewhere around there too, right? So we have another place, owo, right? So still the same letter word, but different pronunciation, right? So sometimes when you look at these AI tools or stuff, they really can't get what we mean by this. They just generalize it most times. So we have to build AI for ourselves, right? So data sovereignty has to start with us. We have to localize our data, right? So making sure everything had been put into context, right? So we are not leaving anything out for the Western world to develop for us and then we ship it back. All due respect to everyone doing a bit of data annotation, you see companies hiring people to do a bit of data annotation for them and all that, but we have to start localizing our data. We have to own our data. And one of the major challenges we have, I was speaking to a couple of my mentee a couple of years back, I think last year. The lady was from Kenya or Rwanda. She raised the question around this, and one of the major concerns she said again was something around trying to access data. Right, trying to access data is a bit hard. And recently, the CEO of Chabdek was talking about how they are using data to make decisions. Now people will order for chicken in the first week. So that's a very powerful insight. They are sitting on a lot of data, right? So this data have to be made public for individuals to make decisions. And there is a part of data privacy of people not wanting to release their data because some people will do X, Y, Z with it, right? But if for every place there's a rule, there's always a regulation, right? And there's always a punishment, right? So I feel we should have more or less like, and this is an appeal to the government, right? We should have like our data being made available for public use, right? For right use, not for any fraudulent or whatsoever use, right? And anyone that is being caught in the act of trying to use it for something that is not rightful, the person is being dealt with, right? So if that is being tackled, we can start building for Africa in Africa, right? So we don't have to ship in what is being built by the Western world to Africa, because they are not 100%, they don't fit what we are trying to do basically, right? We are just using it, but it doesn't 100% fit in for the Africa ecosystem. One other thing I'm going to say is in Nigeria, we have over, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure we have over 20 to 30 languages, right? So different languages. And when you go to the Eastern African, for instance, modern, yeah. When you go to Eastern African, you'd see different type of languages, different type of culture. So we have to build AI that can actually understand who we are, right? Who we are, our problem, and from there we can start making impacts globally.
And As we own our data, we should own our tech also.
Definitely.
And we on this show, we clamor for sovereign innovation, MVPs to MVPs. We look at our technology, speaking our language. Do you think we're ready? Because I'm still on the move looking for intelligence that are native, tech that speaks our languages. Do you think we're ready for it?
We are actually ready for it. One of the major blocker I would say is maybe funding, right? So for you to build AI product that is well used, that people use, you have to have quite a number of money, right? Resources, right? There was a guy in an accident, I think he built a product, right? It went Yan right? So it scaled it to a very large extent. I think blue chips acquired it and all
Yes.
that, right? So we have folks building stuff. When you go to your lag, you would see their NT, they think they have it up, right?
Innovation hub.
Yeah, innovation hub. They build
Yeah.
stuff there, right? So we have guys doing stuff, but one of the major issue we have is funding, right?
And there's NIT hub also.
Yeah, NIT hub, yeah.
hub.
Dr. Odemiyiwa,
Yes.
yeah.
Odumiwa.
Odumiyiwa,
Yes.
yeah. Dr. Odemiyiwa, like, right? So we have folks doing stuff, but one of the major issues we're having is funding, right? There is no funding and there's no government intervention, I would say again, right? So when you are building, most times people need government intervention, right? So government intervention in some areas of data collection too, right? You can't actually build a model to be 100% accurate, or let's say 90% accurate or 95% accurate if you are not actually feeding it with the right data set, right? And those are the issues some of these guys are facing over there.
But the big question is Africa ready for the global AI race?
We are ready, right? If this issue being mentioned have been fixed, yeah, we are 100% ready for the AI race. And we've been seeing a bit of implementation towards that and a bit of product or a bit of services that have been launched that have been AI driven, right? So we are 100% ready for it. We just need to put some checks in place, right, to make sure that is being done.
Fintech, agri-tech, or logistics, where will the real first African unicorn come from these three?
So fintech is like the big brother to every other sector. Let's be honest. Fintech is like the big brother, right? So fintech has been doing well, right? So I think it's most likely come from fintech, or maybe a very, very. I think fintech, to be honest, right? That is doing fully well that because of the heavy investment in fintech, a lot of innovation that is going on into fintech, right? And recently, I think Paystack launched a product where you can just chat. They have a chat box. You can chat the boss. You want to make a transaction, it's going to run it for you. You want to place an order on Chatdeck. You want to do X, Y, Z, right? So I think it's going to come from fintech basically, and that's because of the infrastructure and the roadmap fintech has already.
And now to a matter that concerns everybody, the brain drain, the Jackpot syndrome. Is it affecting us? Are we training people for the world, or what do you think?
One of the major issues we have most times when people get to leave the country is the ecosystem, right? It's not encouraging. And outside of one of the major influence again is peer pressure, right? So when you see someone, maybe you are working on a project with someone, the person is telling you, oh, I'm going on vacation to Greece, and you're literally maybe this person is not quote unquote is not literally better than you. Just what's it called? A limitation of the environment, right? The person is telling you I'm going on vacation to Greece, and like you can't even take you can't fly from Lagos to Abuja for 5 days and stay in the 5-star hotel. Your bank account should be crying, right? So these are some of the issues, right? We have the peer pressure issue, and when they feel they are good, they apply for international job, and most times you actually do get it, right? So it just boils down to the ecosystem and the development of the country. We keep having people moving out of the country because of this Jackpot syndrome and the way other countries are opening their door for talent, right? So it's going to be a very big opportunity for most people to leave. But if we can fix our issue predominantly, we would have a lot of jackpot, right? And most of the jackpot are always coming with their innovative idea. And for you to jackpot, you must have jackpot, and you must have maybe seen one or two places to make improvements for in Africa, and you would come back to your country and start making the innovation. Yeah.
In exactly 3 words, what's the biggest lie that we've been told about AI in Africa?
So I think the biggest lie they've told us about Africa, AI basically is Africans don't collect data. We don't collect it. I think that's like the biggest. And I'm saying that because for you to have a good AI system or a good machine learning model whatsoever, you have to have a good data, collection process, right? Your data has to be accurate. So I think that's one of the biggest lies they told us. Africans don't collect data.
And as we round up, a word for someone listening today, a word of motivation, someone that wants to be like you, but wondering maybe, okay, maybe you were born with a silver spoon. Okay, so or basically a word for them.
Yeah.
It's a message.
So I think resilience, keep building, just keep building. That's the honest message I have. Anything you are doing, just keep building and being optimistic, right? So you might not get it right now, but just keep building. And also have right set of people around you to inspire you and to guide you, right? Or just keep building. Anything you are doing, regardless of if you're not even in the tech ecosystem, anything you're doing, just keep building, making sure you are building and you're building. Don't be tired. It gets tired. And one other thing I would say again, I think I heard it from someone one time is, when you're in the gym, you are tired. You tell yourself, let me just go one more rep, right? Let me just push one more. Just that one more try can actually be like a redefining moment, right? Just that one more push. Let me just push one more time, right? You can be tired, but let me just do this one more time. And that might be where your results will be lying.
No pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain. Yeah, definitely.
So lastly, what's next for you? I know Cambridge is later this year, so what's the big thing again you're working on?
And I have a couple of other research papers I'm working on. One is supposed to be at the 10th International Conference of AI Artificial Intelligence in London. Another one, Internet of Things in Babcock University with a partnership of a university in, I think, Manchester. So two of those papers are actually being out there, but we are yet to get a response or a feedback from them, but hopefully we'll get that. And one of my goals, again, also is to make sure we have like a lot of African researcher, right? So predominantly building and researching for Africa, right? And we can also leverage on that to push Africa on the global map for AI, basically.
So thank you so much, David.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you for showing us that the road to the African AI is not only full of opportunities, but paved with codes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And good luck representing the continent at Cambridge.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah,
thank you so much once
Pleasure
again.
is mine. Thank you so much.
The takeaway today is clear. African AI shouldn't try to copy the blueprint of Western tech hubs. The true power of innovation lies in constraint-driven engineering, building lightweight, high-impact systems that work flawlessly where infrastructure is tough. And that's our package today. I am Dakbo Arua Joy. Keep innovating. And see you next time on TechnyFire.